Listing number 2. We did it. Another listing. We got one at the end of November. It went live December 6th. That one is still sitting for over 75 days. Disappointing. But we just got a new listing. Let's go. This is already my first listing of 2026, and it only took me 2 months. This is really exciting. And you want to know why this is such an exciting thing to talk about? Not just because it's a listing, but because this was a for sale by owner as well. So what this has been telling me is that my methods of getting these appointments set and talking to these people in this manner that I am is working, and it will only improve over time. So this entire video, we're going to be talking about the listing, the story, how I met them, and everything I've learned from this experience, because for sale by owner is cold calling them. It can be done. We've seen it one time already, and now with my new systems, it only took me 2 months to get my first listing cold calling. So I'm so intrigued to talk about this. To start things off, this person, I met them, or I guess I should say, they had an inquiry on Zillow where they were selling their house for sale by owner. They had it posted on Zillow, and the home wasn't getting a lot of traffic. The photos weren't good. There wasn't really a good description of the property or anything like that. So what I did was I went ahead and called the number that was on the listing, and I went them through my script, which I've already went through my script in these videos before. And I asked them when would be a good time I could take a look at the property and set a listing appointment. Well, they were like, he was like, let me get back with my wife and, we'll talk about it. And for me, I'm always like, if I can't close on the first call, then it's done. Like, it's over. Well, they ended up not responding to me after that. I called them and asked, send them voicemails and saying, hey, it's Nick, just checking in. I know you mentioned that you wanted to talk with your wife about setting up a time. When would be a good time to do that? Well, I kept following up with them, and it took me almost 3 weeks. But they finally called me back, and they said, we're really getting tired of selling this house. We need to get it sold. And, are you free on Saturday at 2? And I was like, yeah. So I met them Saturday at 2 p.m. And they were all very nice people, genuinely. And this is going to start going into what I wanted to talk about as far as lessons in making money through for sale by owner listings. These people were extremely nice, and they were open to working with an agent. Not all for sale by owners. As a matter of fact, most of them actually aren't against working with an agent. If they know they can save money working with an agent, then they're going to want to work with one. That's why it's your responsibility to explain to them, here's how you're going to save money, and you actually back it up, right? So that's what I told them. I said, we had the meeting, and they showed me around the property, and I was like, okay, is there a dinner table we can sit at? And the guy was like, yeah, we'll go over to my house, my wife and I's house, and we'll sit in the dinner table and have a chat. So they sent me the 2 appraisals that went through the property. One of them was appraised for less than what they listed it at. The other appraisal came in at more than what they listed it at. So they kind of put it out in the middle. So what I ended up doing now was I wanted to do my listing appointment. Giving them this pre-listing packet that goes over everything of what I do real estate. I accidentally brought the buyer one with me. I brought the wrong packet to the appointment, and when I opened up my backpack and I was like, all right, let's go ahead and talk about the 4 different types of buyers, I was like, fuck, I don't have the right packet. So I was like, okay, no worries, we're gonna improvise. And so what I did was I just wrote down on a piece of paper, here are the 4 types of buyers, and I went through my value proposition, asked them questions. So the property is technically owned by the executor because the home is under an estate. Okay, and the home was at an estate, and then the person that took the property after the owner died did not take care of it, and then he died. So now this lady, the man's wife, is actually the executor of the property, right? Well, there was also her husband, which I called on the phone, and then there was one other guy. And he was the guy, I think it might have been a family member of his. He was asking me some really tough questions. He was like asking me like, I know a lot of realtors in this area. Why do we want to pick you? Why do we have to stay on this contract for, this amount of days? Why is your commission this amount of percentages? But you know what I did? Most salesmen get extremely annoyed, or they try to avoid actually answering the question. What I do is I validate their questions. I'll say, those are really excellent questions, and they're important. Like, you need to know this stuff. And so I'm glad that you answered them. Let me go ahead and explain. So, blah, 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 right? I'm being an advisor and a consultant that is giving them advice on how they can sell their listing and make money from it. I'm not selling them a product. Like, technically, I'm giving out my pitch on why they should work with me. I guess that is sales. But that's not the primary juice of this business. The primary juice of this business is how you communicate with your clients, not getting the clients. Like, you know what I mean, right? So I went through my value proposition. I answered all the questions they had, and they signed. So we're going to have it go live on March 3rd. They need to clean out some stuff in the house. The house is extremely old. It was built in 1820. And it has the original flooring from 1820. So Aaron Burr was still alive after he shot Hamilton. Dude was still alive in 1820. It's just, Indiana University was born in 1820. So, I mean, it's just crazy to think that a home can get that old in 2026, right? But nevertheless, it was really good to go ahead and look at the property. And the cool thing about this old house is that it's spacious and it's big. And with a lot of these older homes, there's usually not a primary bedroom on the main level. There was. And guess what? We're selling it for under $200,000. It's a 3-bed, 2-bath, almost 1,800 square feet for less than $200,000. Pretty good deal, right? Now, obviously, the home definitely needs some work. Some of the vinyl needs to get replaced. The carpet sometimes needs to get stripped. The kitchen's dirty. And, there's just a lot of crap wrong with the house. Not, foundation-wise, but more so, cosmetics. Which is why we're selling it at such a lower price. But it's the oldest home in Martinsville, and yet it's also one of the cheapest homes in Martinsville. And it's a 3-bedroom, right? So what I told them during the presentation was, we can list it under $200,000 if we can get rid of all the bullshit that's in the property. Because this home was full of shit. It was just full of unnecessary crap and stuff that was left by the previous owner. So I told them, I said, let's get all this junk and stuff out, because we want to market this home to first-time home buyers. We want to market this home to people who are looking to purchase their first home and they want space. I think this home is going to sell at a good time. I don't think it's going to be anything like Fortville, where that home has been sitting for 75 days, and it's because we mispriced it, and we haven't come to an agreement on a price reduction. And that home's also I think it was 1892 or something like that. That home is also old. But the difference between that home and this home is that this home has 2 bathrooms and it's way less money. It's $80,000 less. So it's of course you're going to take that, right? And then the square footage isn't that much greater. And it still has an attached 1-car garage. And it has an actual extra shed area, which is really cool. So the listing has a lot of things that are desirable about the property. And actually, when I went ahead and promoted it on my Facebook, I had all these people swipe up on my Facebook being like, give me the details. What is this about? And it's giving me fucking leads with my sphere of influence. Because I'm like, hey, 3-bed, 2-bath in Martinsville, over 1,700 square feet, an attached garage, and, under $200,000. And it's most homes are not under $200,000, especially in that size, right? So it's hopefully we can really get that moving and we can get that sold. So now I want to talk about what I've learned and this experience, and this is going to be primarily lead generation. Before we do that, I'm going to take a break. In real estate, it is never advised that you cold call. People talk about it. Nobody does it. Nobody does it because they think it's a waste of time. They think cold calling's not for me. Reading from a script is not for me. When I was at a mortgage lending event, the lender asked everybody, what does everyone think about scripts? And everyone, even realtors that were, in their 60s, were like, it's not for me. I don't want this. It just doesn't seem authentic. It's because you're missing the point of why scripts matter. Scripts matter because and this is what I said. Nick, what do you think? I said, scripts give you a sense of purpose and direction for your call. It gives you structure. It's not something you're supposed to read word for word. It's supposed to be authentic to yourself. And I'm going to be honest, when you have the right scripts when you cold call, people aren't going to get pissed off at you. They're just not. And this is what I'm trying to get at with these calls. It's worked. I have set 1, 2, 3, 4 appointments, 4 listing appointments in a month because I'm good at making cold calls. And I got a 25% conversion. I just got a new listing. It works, guys. This cold calling strategy works if you know what to say, and if you're just good at having conversations with people and not trying to think of it as a sales call, you're going to do so much of a better job, and it's so much easier than people think. You can do this. And if you're not making business, you do need to make these calls because this is free money. I could be getting a closing literally because I just called some dude on the phone. Like, it boggles my mind that not as many people do it, and when they do, they don't do it the right way. Most real estate agents, when they call a for sale by owner, they say, I have a buyer for you. I have a buyer. Let me list your house. Well, if you have a buyer, then why don't you just bring them? You don't need to list their house if you already have a buyer. Or, better yet, hey, this is Nick with Keller Williams Realty. How are you doing today? Fuck you. That's what they're thinking. My strategy is by asking them questions. My strategy is by just having a normal conversation. And it's also using specific words that captivate their intrigue. I work with buyers that are potentially interested in the area. I'm not saying I have a buyer for them. I'm saying I have buyers that might want to look in this area. We don't know if they will, and they don't know if it's going to be this area. But I say that because their guard comes down, and then I can start asking them questions about the property. And then I say, I noticed that it's for sale by owner. Do you hate working with realtors? Most people don't. Most people want to save money. So you have to say it in a way that's going to captivate their attention. And you got to say it in a way with confidence. A big part of these calls is having confidence. And to be quite frank, it's hard to have confidence when you start off. But when you do, I might have a listing a month simply because of these calls. I genuinely believe that if I keep this up in March, I should get another listing. Why not? Why the fuck not? That means I'd get 12 listings, which is perfect. That's great. So let's keep doing this. This is a really good strategy. So what this is telling me is that cold calling works. Cold calling can be done. Everyone telling me, I don't like cold calling. It's a waste of time. People are mean. And I would never, get someone's business on the phone. Here's the trick, guys. Some people don't want to work. There have been times where I've called them, went through almost my entire script, and they're like, if this is one of your sales pitches and you can just fuck off. It happens. Genuinely, it happens. But then you got to understand that it's all about maximizing your conversion rate. The only way you're going to do that is if you make more shots, make more calls. The more you shoot, the more opportunities of business you're going to get, and then it becomes a probability game. Right? Exactly. So these calls work. I got listing number 2. I just put it up right there on the whiteboard. And we're going to keep this thing rolling. It's at a good price. It's in the city of Martinsville, which is close to the schools, and it's really great. So we're going to have that bad boy go live on March 3rd. And in the meantime, we're going to keep meeting with buyers. We're going to keep cold calling. We're going to keep lead follow-up, social media. We're going to keep doing this, guys. So let's keep doing it. As far as I know, I'm the only one in this office that calls for sell by owners and gets listings that way. Maybe I can teach a class about it one day. Not now. I haven't closed on a transaction yet. But when I do, we're going to do it. See you guys. I'll see you guys on the next video. It'll probably be on Tuesday. So, bye guys.